What is the word, Josh Devontae? This is success is a mindset or lifestyle. That's how you know it's been a minute, bro. I forgot I changed the name. I'm so used to saying this is Reaper Motivation. I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I was low key thinking about changing the name back since I'm starting up again. But I don't know, we're gonna see. I like success as a mindset. But we'll see. I'm about to look into it, man. But I'm glad to be back, man. Before I start this podcast, I definitely want to shout out my dog Noah for inspiring me to jump back on here, man. He hit me up on Instagram and said some real kind words, man. And bro, if you listen to this, bro, I appreciate you, gang. Um, and getting right into it. Well, before I get into it, I do want to say, there's a lesson that I wanted to preach before I got into the topic today. Is not letting outside forces derail something that you have a passion for. Um, the reason why I stopped recording, one of them was because the way the app I used to use, Anchor, some of my OGs remember, I used to do like the little ad in the beginning, and I used to shout out Anchor. They got like disbanded, I guess, and something had went down, and recording for Spotify was getting hard, bro. Like I kept using different apps was deleting my shit. I'd like be recording for like 30 minutes, and then my whole thing would get deleted, and it was pissing me off. So I just was like, you know what? I don't even like y'all don't understand, bro. Especially y'all know me. I'm animated, bro. Like I get going. I'm like, bro. I know this shit did not just delete my whole fucking episode, bro. Like I used to be sick. And yeah, bro. So that was one thing. But the other thing is, and this is why I want to preach about not letting outside entities, dissuade you from doing what you love to do, is I'm gonna be honest with you, man, the podcast space, and I think a lot of people would tell you that the podcast space has been a bit, I don't want to say toxic because I feel like that word is just very overused. But I think the podcast space became a bit more mundane. Like I think like a lot of people were not being creative anymore. Like I like this is a motivational podcast. Motivational podcasts do tend to be pretty repetitive. We're all essentially saying the same thing. Look in the mirror, get your shit together, things like that. But I feel like there's a way that you can go about it that keeps it creative, but also keeps it from being very just trying to outdo another person, trying to clickbait, just all around. Just I think like the new mindset that people have on social media, everything is content, has turned a lot of these spaces into like messy fields. Like a prime example to me is I used to love Bedros Koulian. I think that's how you pronounce his name. He had a real dope channel on YouTube, and then he started doing that shit when he people was paying him like $10,000 to go to like a makeshift boot camp. And y'all gotta understand, bro. As somebody who went to the Marine Corps, seeing that was the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life, bro. Like grown 30, 35, 40-year-old men getting tormented in the rain and in the woods for a week for no good reason to build brotherhood was the stupidest shit I've ever seen in my life. But that's where the space was going, and it just made me kind of unmotivated to record. And I was like, man, I don't want to be looped into that. I'll be honest with you, when I would tell people I had a podcast, that was the first thing they say. They'd be like, "Oh, so you do all that?" Like they'll just think all like the stupid dudes that get on here, grab a mic, and say, "Should women be allowed to eat in front of other people?" Like just stupid shit like that. Just just absolute nonsense. And it's just like, right, I didn't want to get looped into that. But you know, we back, man. I'm not gonna allow outside entities and what other people are doing on their side to affect me and my endeavors. And I greatly advise y'all to do the same, man. You're in your own lane, stay in that motherfucker. So a lot has gone on. I haven't actually uploaded a podcast since I want to say February of last year, so it's been a minute. But originally I was gonna get on here because I'm in a relationship now. Been in one for about a year and a half, and actually we lived together. And I was gonna get on here and I was gonna talk about that because I give a lot of relationship advice on here, not as often as I used to when I first started, but I do give it. And I was like, maybe that'd be a good idea. But it led me into thinking of a whole new subject that I think would be very beneficial to y'all. So, like I said, your significant other is either going to be a liability or an asset. However, I've come up with a list, right? And this could be applied. I'm gonna apply this to dating, between people, but this could also be for friends. This can be for jobs. This can be for a lot of things, but I'm limited to just to that. But once y'all hear the list, y'all will understand where it's coming from. And I got the idea from this. I went back and listened to my OGs will remember the video I did, what makes a woman girlfriend material. And I was listening to that and I wanted to see, I was like, man, what would I amend from that? Because I made that video about 4 years ago, or that podcast about 4 years ago. I was 23 when I made that. And a lot of things changed in that time frame. I was like, man, what can I do? Like, what have I learned since then that have maybe changed, and what would I change? When I listened through it, I really wasn't much change. Like, I think I was like, even at 23, I think I had a good understanding of what I was looking for, what I thought was stupid. The only thing I would maybe make an amendment to that I want to say before I get into this, and the list that I have also has nothing to do with, is looks. So I said in that podcast that, like, if you're gonna get in something long term, they should at least be a 9 to 10 in your eyes, right? And I'm not getting into what makes somebody that is up to you. Some people like women that's 80 pounds. Some people like women that's 380 pounds. Some people like women with kilos. Some people like women with feet like Shaq. That's up to you, gang. I ain't gonna judge you. I ain't fucking them. You are. So but the reason why I said that in that video still stands. Like, you're gonna be with someone long term. You shouldn't be trying to cheat. They need to be attracted to you. However, I made that video. What was that? 2021. If you single right now, you gonna feel it. Now, like I said, I've been in a relationship for like a year and a half, but I was single for like a while before that, and man, it got progressively worse. I'm not gonna cap. It got progressively. It's like it just. We're at a time right now where, like, if you're looking for what I said, a 9 or 10, I'm gonna get into it through the list, so I don't want to go too deep. But I would say you're making your life three, 4 times harder if that's a big part of your choosing process. Now, you can't go too low. So I want to state that emphatically before I start. Just like, don't. All right, well, I'm gonna give me a 4. Nah, gang. All right, let's reel that bitch back. We was here. We went over there. We gotta come back this way. You know what I'm saying? That's a little too far, but I do think it's still important. Just, I would say, don't put it too high up. I would say. I don't want to, because I still think it's very important. I think a lot of people get in a lot of trouble. I don't want to say settling, but I feel like just being like, man, well, let me just get into the list and it make a lot more sense. So anyhow, so the list is right. It's essentially categories that you could place women in, right? And I break women down as far as like their value to your life. And I say there are appreciating assets, depreciating assets, liabilities, and a subcategory of IPOs. Now, for my investors on here, if you like investing, you're probably already smiling because you're going to know where I'm going with this. And, I've never talked about stocks like that on here and all that. But I think now that I'm rekindling this fire, I think that's going to be a part of it because I feel like I can't call myself a self-help and motivational channel without giving out some gems about investing. And that is one thing since I've been gone. I've I've always been into for the last 4 years, but I can definitely, you know, give you out a lot of information about that. But essentially, I'm gonna start with appreciating assets. So, what is an appreciating asset before I get into it? An appreciating asset is something that you buy of worth and value that gets higher as time goes by. So, houses, stocks, gold, um, things like that. So the reason why I put women in these categories is that, like I said, if she's not an asset, she's a liability. But there's different types of assets. A woman who's an appreciating asset, and this is going to be a common theme throughout this. This has more to do with mindset than anything else. So let me give you an example. So, like, a woman who's an appreciating asset wants to actively bring value to your life. This is somebody who doesn't just want to just, like I said, like I forgot what podcast it was, but a lot of people just want to take. Give me this, give me that. I want this, I want that. You see that even in like the employment market, right? You got somebody who, hasn't gotten certifications, hadn't gotten degrees, hasn't gotten these things. They get a minimum wage job and they're like, give me more money. It's like, for what? You gotta give something to take something. You can't, I already then gave you money. This isn't something that was like a guarantee. This is a privilege. I'm hooking you up. You can't then coerce me and talk about something. Oh, well, I know I flip burgers, but give me $100, bitch. Is you crazy? Like, what? Where they do that at? And that's essentially what I mean. Is somebody who doesn't, like, their mindset is not just to take. And people, and this is why I said this goes more than just relationships. It's friendships, family, people who actively seek to be an asset in other people's lives, to bring value to other people's lives, or people that you want around you. Like, I make a point of emphasis that everyone who's around me, even if it's on a smaller scale, because I try to hang with people who I think are better than me, or better than me in certain facets of life. I try to be as much of an asset to them as possible, or be of great use to them. Like Kevin Samuel said it best a long time ago. You should want to be used. You should want people to take advantage of you, essentially. Like, no lie. Like, not, well, let me not say take advantage. That's the wrong way to put it. You should want people to utilize you for different things. If you are of use, especially as a man, if you're of use, you are at your prime. You're at your best. That's why they say, men are treated a lot better when they get older, because the older you get, if you haven't been bullshitting, right? If you haven't been just, fiddling your nuts and playing Fortnite, and, you actually been working, then guess what? You're of use to people. You can be an asset to the different people that you're around. So that's the whole purpose of that. Now, what makes a woman an appreciating asset is actually really up to you. Now, to me, I look at a woman who's an appreciating asset in three ways. First thing is, do you fucking get on my nerves? Like, now, that's that's the first, that's the very first thing. Like, how tolerable are you? Like, if because life in and of itself is already stressful. If I don't give this has to be the first thing, because anything else that you give me after this point is null and void. I don't even really care about it. It's like, if you're aggravating to be around, like, think about, like, if you anyone's been around the block a couple of times, you've been in relationships. There's, like, before you meet them, like, let's say y'all getting ready to go on a date, or you're getting ready to come home, you'll be sitting there like, ugh, deal with this bitch. Oh my god. You sitting there trying to, like, pep talk yourself to get, like, if it's that bad, I'm not interested. Like, that's not an appreciating asset at all. But if you look at her and she actually calms your mind, like if you've had a long day and seeing her makes you happy, that's an appreciating asset. And right after the their attitude and things like that, that's where you get into more like the skill sets. Now, I could cook myself, so, like, the cooking is not the biggest thing for me, but I would say, are you willing to do things to help? Like, are you just like, what you want to look for with appreciating asset, if you're trying to distinguish whether a woman's an appreciating asset, is, are they constantly looking to help, to do things, to be helpful? And also, and this is another thing that people don't talk about, and this is a big difference from that video I made in 2021 and now, is, are are they mentally malleable? Now, if you know what malleable means, that basically means something that you can mold and kind of easily change. Are they mentally malleable when it comes to finances? Because I'm gonna be honest with you, in today's era of fucking TikTok and Instagram, if y'all noticed, before I got off, I was like really going hard on the people who's always talking about trips, and the reason why had really nothing to do with, like, I think you should be saving your money. Look, if you want to spend your money on trips, that's fine. The problem is that people who want to be successful simultaneously blow three, four, five, $10,000 a year on fucking trips. Listen, you can do whatever you want with your money. If you don't give a fuck about, retiring, you don't care about wealth, you don't care about the future, and you just want to blow your money on today and YOLO, that's up to you. That's do what you do. But the having a malleable mind financially is important, because if you can get someone who, even if they believe in the whole treat yourself and all that other shit, if you can get them to see the power of being not frugal but financially responsible, of investing your money, taking a trip when you've been saving for the fucking trip, not going into debt for the trip, not, you know, going somewhere that's three, four notches out your tax bracket, but because you saw India Love just went to fucking Bora Bora, or, Jada Waiter went to goddamn Turks or something like that. Now you want to go out there when you know good and damn well your ass got the money you got is Key West. Not saying Key West is nothing. There's nothing wrong with Key West, but your ass don't need to be going nowhere out the country. Key West, go down there. You don't even need to take an airplane. Get on the Greyhound. That's your tax bracket, and that's what I'm talking about. Having a financially malleable mind, because I'm gonna be honest with you. This all goes into, this is why it's called an asset. This is things that go down the line, right? If you gonna marry this woman, you will go broke. You will go super broke if you got somebody who's constantly following these fucking trends and spending all this goddamn money and buy now, pay later. You will go broke. And guess what? Like I said, you- I talked about many a times, bro. Your value as a man is heavily tied into a lot of existential things. A lot of us don't like to think about that, but that's the truth. So if you fuck around and go broke or go bankrupt because of that, and for whatever reason that relationship don't work, guess what? You picking up the pieces and you start from square zero. And don't nobody want no 40-year-old broke man. Just being 100% honest with you. Like, women that tolerate it when you in your early 20s and in your 20s in general, I would say. But once you get to 30 and start ticking up, they not really trying to hear it. You know what I'm saying? That's just going to make things way more difficult, and life's going to be more difficult. So you need someone who has a financially malleable mind. And that goes into the next thing, a depreciating asset, or depreciating assets as women. It's people who have everything opposite of what I just said. Now, here's the thing. This is why I call them a depreciating asset and not a liability. They may have skills that people will perceive as an appreciating asset. So I'm gonna give you an example. There was a bartender that I had met when I was in like 2019. This is back when I still worked at the shipyard, and real pretty. She ratchet as a bitch, and she had like three kids from two different people, I think. But if you go on that gram, she could cook like crazy. But because of all the other things I just said, that's a depreciating asset, because the amount of time and money that you're gonna put into that, over time the value is gonna decrease, even though there's value being brought. Does that make sense? Because somebody could have, they could cook, they could clean, they could be fine as a bitch, and they could be freaks. But guess what? If you're fucking annoying, that's a depreciating asset, because you're stressing me out. You're taking more, whatever you give, you're taking just the equal amount or more. That's a depreciating asset. That's where you fall into trouble. Now, I know somebody's gonna want, because of what I brought about the whole looks in the beginning, somebody's gonna probably say I should probably give ratings for this, or like what normally comes. The thing is, you honestly will never know, but I will be honest, and this is the reason why. This is what I was talking about earlier with the nines and tens. You're not gonna find too many nines and tens that appreciate the assets category. You might find, I mean, if you do, and they're any older than 25, they probably married, and they didn't tell you about it. Like, I can't, because I mean, it's one of those things. It's just like the culture, and I think if you would ask me why I think the culture is different, I think I'm the prize thing on both sides, male and female, because like I said, this can apply to anybody. It can apply to friends too. But that mindset has just totally fucked up the dating world, and this it's made this list super important, because someone can be confident and feel like they're a prize and still be an appreciating asset. It's just the mindset of, hey, I still want to help. I don't want to be I don't want to take all the time. And depreciating assets are normally going to have, you know, redeeming qualities that are on the surface. This is why you see, like, you'll go on Instagram and you'll see these super fine women who cook and do all this crazy shit, but they somehow ain't never married. Funny how that go, huh? I'm talking about, like, you've been following the same page about 5 years. They ain't seen not a soul in that bitch. Now sometimes they do know they followers drop when they post a man, but nah, that she's single as a bitch. You know why? Because it's a depreciating asset. The goddamn, it's enough to get somebody in the dough, and ain't enough to get somebody to stay. And that's honestly the best way you could tell. It's like this is normally when you're gonna look at like the older women who's been single for 5, 10 years, shit like that. Good enough to come, not good enough to stay. That's normally how it goes. And then before I get into the last one, I do want to talk about. So I said there's a subsection of IPOs. Now, get into stocks a little bit. If you understand what an IPO is what we call an initial public offering, which is essentially when a company decides to go public, they basically take funding and investments from investors, and they basically let them know that they're about to go public. Who wants to invest now? So they get the best price before they go public, and then the stock will have a boom or bust. And it's essentially like it's speculative. It's someone who you're not sure what they can be, but they have potential. These are going to be the people that you're going to meet when you're in college, when you're in high school. And I do know some people listen to me that's a little bit younger. You're going to run into a lot of IPOs. And the best thing I could say with IPOs, as far as how to sift through what's a good IPO, what's a bad IPO, I would say is how peaceful are they? Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I think like the other things, because everything's derived around whether or not they like you about or not anyway. But if they're peaceful and they like you, a lot of the other things, because there's people who get together who neither one of them could cook, but to save money, they both learn how to cook. You see what I'm saying? Neither one of them are clean, and they normally stay dirty. I ain't gonna lie. I seen some dirty ass couples. Man, there's some skid mark lovers out there. I'm telling you right now, it's disgusting. But more than likely, most people grow as they get together. So if you're investing in what would be an IPO, the biggest thing is going to be the mindset. And I'm saying right now, it's easy to tell. Just same thing. Are you looking forward to see them? Like I'm saying right now, a majority of the time, I would say majority of men, that's the number one. They can't stand a fucking girlfriend. And I know that's like a joke on like TikTok. Like they'll say hashtag, oh, they hate their girlfriend. There's a reason behind that. Y'all don't see it on TikTok or the gram, but they're probably the most aggravating person to be around on earth. Like I saw a video. It was a dude. He was at like the birthday party, and his girl was like cheesing and shit. Sitting there with a mean mug. Now he could just be a little insecure bitch. He could just, just be mad at her day. Or that woman could have been making his life a fucking hell all week long, and now he's finally got out here. She just doesn't want to be out there no more. That is a real thing. So for IPOs, it's going to be heavily on their personality and how easy they are to be around. And the last one, liabilities. Now, like I said, most nines and tens are going to be in these two last categories. I say most of them are in liabilities. These is the best way to put it. All they do is take, take, take. I don't even think, I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't think most liabilities are even hard to be around from the standpoint of making your life annoying, of being annoying. I think they're hard to be around from not being very personable. I think I was, well, no, that'd be falling lines. I'm talking about, like, I don't want to say it's not smart because no one, I don't want to call nobody stupid, but they're not very interesting. That's a good way to put it. These gonna be the ones that's not very interesting, and everything is give me. I'm the prize. Give me, give me, give me, give me, give me. I want this. I should have this. These liabilities are people that you're gonna do shit for. Like you could fix a car tire, you could pay 2 bills, and they'd be like, as you should. Just little goofy shit like that. This is gonna be about 75% of the people you're gonna meet. And like I said, this can go into friends or relationships. For friends, and I'm gonna do a whole friends list on this thing too. But for friends, I'm gonna say the biggest form of a liability is people that can't relinquish the past. If you have someone that's been doing the same shit for 2 years, I'm talking about nothing has changed. That's a liability. No one should be in the same position that they was in 5 years ago. And this still holds true of relationships too. More than likely, that person, whoever you meet, that's a liability. They've more than likely been in whatever position they're in for the last 5, 10 years. Now you do have you know, outliers, but I would say more than likely they're doing the same shit, jumping from person to person to person, being nothing but a taker. And listen, I think that being weary of people, and I know people don't feel very good about categories and categorizing people, but the importance of it is when you not when you categorize, you don't want to make a predetermined notion of somebody, but if you're around someone for a certain amount of time and you are expecting them to be an appreciating asset or expecting them to be a liability or expecting them after from what they showed you, right? After you've been around them for some time, you've gotten to beat on who they are, you've gotten to know them, then you know how to move forward. Some people don't have these things in their mind already, and then they get into these situations and just kind of go with the wind, which is kind of how I lived my life for a long time. When it came to relationships, just go with the wind. But you then turn to realize, like, man, that go to the wind shit, sometimes it can go farther than you meant it to, and lo and behold, I got a fucking liability. You don't want to be in that space. So it's good to keep, be cognizant of that early. That way you can, you know, essentially avoid trouble later. But yeah, man, I didn't want to make this super long because I just got back, so I wanted to, really kind of work my way back into it. I think the next one I do is going to be my longer one. I haven't done a 45 minute to an hour podcast in a minute, even before I stop, but I think that's going to be the vibe because I do want to, I've been gone for so long, I want to get back into the swing of things. So this weekend, I'm going to put a little something together. I'm probably not going to release it this week. It'll probably be next week. And I got that to look forward to. But I appreciate y'all joining me, man. This is Success is a Lifestyle or a Mindset. I gotta remember the name of this fucking podcast, man. I think I'm just gonna change it back to Reaper Motivation, man. I'm not gonna lie. Y'all knew the podcast name when y'all jumped in here. Y'all, my day ones know what time it is. But I appreciate y'all for rocking with me, man. More content coming soon. I'll holla at y'all.